take a look around and find somebody to War Eagle. It's showtime.
Hello, friends, and welcome. All right, that's enough of that. I don't want to get sued. Hello, Auburn, Alabama, and all points around the globe, where War Eagle friends can be heard and return with joy, particularly on this day in Augusta, Georgia, ever standing as proof that God has a sense of humor. One of the most beautiful places on earth, gently nestled in a shithole no one in possession of sound faculties would elect to live on purpose. Oh, Augusta. I used to live there. I can talk about it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good day to you. I hope this message finds you truly well and joyful and that you are luxuriating in the greatest Sunday in all the world of sport. Yes, indeed. Hello, consumers of Auburn broadcast transmissions, and welcome to Auburn Stuff, the variety show podcast where we discuss the philosophy of life in orange and blue, and other stuff I find interesting. Warm greetings as well. Reaching out to our listeners from Spanish Fort up to Zip City and in Lounsville, South Carolina. St. Cloud, Minnesota. Who'd have figured that Minnesota right now stands as our second biggest download site behind Alabama? State, I should say. And to you folks in Hornell, New York. Oceanside, California, home of the 1st Marine Division. Semper Fi. And Odessa, Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you for coming in and joining the fun. It is Masters Sunday. So we'll keep it a little light, a little short today, so we can all get on to things we'd rather be doing. It is Sunday, April 11th, over here in the Eastern Time Zone. It is about to flip to 1:07 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And the current weather in Auburn, Alabama is 71 lovely and clear degrees, with a precipitation possibility of 0.0 and the humidity riding at a human level of 51%. More importantly, the weather in Augusta, Georgia currently is 75, with a feels like of 75 and partly cloudy, which makes for a much lovelier broadcast. Take it from a camera person. I know that we all love to see the clear blue skies, but from a television broadcast presentation point of view, a nice soft cloud cover evens the light, softens the light. It helps you enjoy the course more. And let's face it, this is one of the only, if not the only, sporting event where we pay passing interest to the participants, but the main star of the show is the venue. We want to see the golf course. And a little soft cloud cover, nature's soft box as we call it, is the best way to view all of the subtle geological features of Augusta National Golf Club. Incidentally, CBS, stop stealing from the people of the world. And what I mean by that is show a little initiative, show a little gumption, show a little creativity, and step out of your mid-20th century broadcast coverage regarding cameras and camera angles, because you are stealing the visual of Augusta National from the world. If you have never been to Augusta National Golf Club and trod the grounds, you've only seen it on television. The high camera angles flatten everything. You cannot possibly imagine how hilly that golf course is. It's so gorgeous. You walk up the first fairway. You've seen it a million times. You walk up the first fairway and you come around the dogleg past the fairway bunker. You approach the green and you look up and you go, holy cow! How is any human being supposed to stop a golf ball on that green? That's a simple microcosm of Augusta National. So when we conclude here today, I will be, as I said, this will be a light day, as I will shortly ensconce for 5 to 6 uninterrupted hours of golf bliss. There are 3 times each year a standing order exists that I shall not be bothered with, the possible exception of someone I really, really love dying. And that is the Masters, the U.S. Open, golf, and the Open Championship, known to the uninitiated, unwashed as the British Open. And 2 of these actually generally coincide with gift days. Masters week is usually, my birthday usually falls somewhere in Masters week. And of course the U.S. Open Sunday is Father's Day. So on those particular occasions, everyone around me knows not to bother me. Don't call me, don't text me, don't pester me, don't ask me to do anything. I have strategically and meticulously manipulated my work and my obligations so that everything is done before or scheduled to be done after these particular events. No one has to wait on anything. It's all taken care of. Just don't bother me. And it's like Father's Day or your birthday. Think about it. If you have kids, and I have one, I have a teenager. Oh, I hate teenagers. If you, and you've been through this, the whole Father's Day. I will not speak for mothers, although I'm married to one, and I know her opinion on this as well. What do you want for Father's Day? I want to be left alone by the world. What is this deal? Who invented the whole, let's send the kids and dad off to have Father's Day together? What? No, leave me alone. Perhaps later on, when you're a bit older, less of an asshole, we can get together and play some golf or go fishing or whatever the heck it is you want to do. Leave me alone. We have 364 other days of the year during which I read to you, I play with you, I feed you, I educate you, I spend time with you, I tuck you in, I make sure you're clean. All of those things. It's all taken care of. On that day where I'm granted a wish, leave me alone. If you feel otherwise, well, you're just weird. So, anyway, moving on. As I mentioned previously, got my first COVID vaccination, which was fine, whatever. Was reasonably pain-free in the realm, not pain, I don't give a shit, shots, whatever, it's not painful. What I mean by pain-free is the process. Reasonably pain-free. And we got the first one, the next one will be in a month. And they gave me a sticker, like the I voted sticker. And my question is, if I wear this little sticker around that says I got my shot, if I wear that everywhere, if I just affix that to my clothing, Can I stop wearing this stupid mask everywhere? Although, I have to say, when all this is said and done, I will miss entering every single building, especially banks, like a movie bank robber. I've gone from wearing a mask to a gaiter. Just, it's easier to deal with, pull up and on. So when you pull that gaiter over your head like it's a balaclava, like you're a Russian gangster about to bust in somewhere and take the place down, and you walk into the bank and nobody draws a gun on you. Yeah, that's fun. I'll miss that. But my home state of South Carolina, as well as our neighbors in Georgia and over in Alabama, are lifting some of the most egregious compulsory restrictions as we sort of try to claw our way back to some semblance of liberty. Human liberty. Remember? Which, not incidentally, signals a paradigm shift as Mrs. Auburn Stuff transitions back to her work office from her home office, which is my only office, otherwise known as the place from which I produce this fine program, in addition to my work. So all of that frees up available recording time, which is lovely, and hopefully I can keep this thing on a more regular schedule. So that's a thing. Yeah, so here in South Carolina and similar in other states, Florida's been way ahead of the curve on this. And you can tell that they're doing things properly as the governor has been attacked relentlessly. That's how you know you're doing something right, when the media and certain people try to tear your skin off. You're on to something good. But here in South Carolina, the governor signed a thing that went into effect 2 days ago, 2 days ago, where the mask mandate is lifted for government buildings and restaurants. And of course, you have to put in there, please use common sense. And by the way, people, because a mask mandate is lifted, don't be stupid. Don't allow your neighbors to be stupid. Don't allow people around you to be stupid. That doesn't mean that you can't wear a mask if you want to. Go ahead and put it on. Keep wearing it for the rest of your life. No one says you can't. It's okay. We know that you've been conditioned not to be able to think for yourself any longer for quite some time, but it's okay. You don't need the government to tell you what and what not to do. Or maybe you do. But not these listeners. Not you folks. No. And speaking of shot and curing diseases, have you noticed that we've apparently cured the flu? Seriously. Has anyone, anywhere, made a peep about influenza? Seems like the impending extinction of all humanity from the flu has been, I don't know, something like a pro forma corporate entertainment media fair. Forever. God, what an absolute blight on humanity. The media, not the flu. I mean, the flu's okay. Things to consider. Observations from my ramblings this past week. Hey, so we have, as I'm sure you all do, curbside, I guess, grocery pickup at various places like Kroger, Publix, Walmart, etc. And it's pretty nice. It's a time saver if you're limited on time availability. If you're into maximizing the efficiency of your time spent throughout the day, then grocery pickup, if available to you, is an excellent way to do this. And so you put your order in, you drive to the store. On the way, you tell them you're on your way. Then when you get there, depending on the sophistication of your store's system, it will tell them you're there already. Or you'll check in when you get there and put your space number and your car description in there. It's delightful. And so they've set this up so that when you pull into the space, they come out with your groceries, open your hatch, load them up, close your hatch, and you leave. And you all wish each other, you thank one another, you greet one another, thank one another, and wish one another a pleasant afternoon. So, the other day, I pulled into my parking space, looked next to me, and the person next to me had backed into the grocery pickup space. Now, I am all about backing into the space. That's a tactical way of operating with your vehicle. You back into the space, so if you need to escape, you can do so quickly. However, if you back into the grocery pickup space, please tell me how the fine folks bringing your groceries out to you are going to access your hatch when it is backed up to the curb and against the little sign. Please be less dumb. And speaking of dumb shit and good shit, another bit of my travels throughout the week. The other day, I went to Chick-fil-A. And Chick-fil-A, of course, stands as one of the greatest food establishments on earth simply by its philosophy and the way that it's run from the top down. Anyway, every Chick-fil-A on earth now could build, every time they build a Chick-fil-A, they should do it like Dollar General. There should be 27 of them in each town. Each town that's over 500 people should have 27 Chick-fil-A's. They build them across the street from one another. So every Chick-fil-A currently operating on the face of the planet could quadruple their size and still not be big enough. However, our Chick-fil-A recently, last year, they completed a complete overhaul where they increased the size of the drive-thru and added an extra lane of the drive-thru. And it doesn't matter. When I pulled in the other day, there were probably, 45 cars waiting to pick up food. And they also did a curbside thing, but they've suspended that recently. I don't know why, but anyway, so it kind of forces you to get in the drive-thru line. But Chick-fil-A has made that no factor, no big deal. Because there's 4,800 cars in the line and you still go through it in about 5 minutes or less. It's kind of like the Masters concession line. If you've ever seen that machine, it's quite impressive. And the way that the Chick-fil-A line dovetails so nicely with the social contract, it's almost like Chick-fil-A customers behave like cooperative, educated, and compassionate adults as opposed to everywhere else in the world. You get in line, so the cars lines wrapped around the building like twice, and the car at the pickup line has to get through the lines that are wrapped around the building in order for them to exit the restaurant. And there's a little sign there that says something like, please allow the car at the window to exit. And so without any more prompting than that, I watched as an entire group of people simply operated, again, I say, within the paradigm of the social contract. And the social contract is that unwritten agreement that we all enter that says, for example, when I'm driving southbound on the road and you're driving northbound on the road, you're going to stay in your lane and I'm going to stay in my lane and we'll both live to tell. That's the social contract in a nutshell. You operate in a way that is un-assholish, unselfish. You are aware that there are other people sharing the space around you. And the way that it's done, it's like Chick-fil-A fosters this simply by its own corporate philosophy, which is basically just be a decent human being. It's amazing to watch that as people just seamlessly slipped in and out of their spaces. The line kept moving. People were able to exit. Nobody blocked anybody off. It's like, how many times do you go to a red light or some kind of intersection and some cretin has blocked the box, blocked the intersection, blocked the exit, blocked the entrance? And you wonder, are you stupid or are you an asshole or you both? Well, probably neither. You're just sort of ignorant and self-involved. You're unaware that you share space under the guise of the social contract. And that's like, it was a thing of beauty watching the social contract operate seamlessly in the Chick-fil-A line on the Chick-fil-A property. But then when you exit the property and you get to the first red light, the 6 jackass, self-involved turd weasels in front of you have obviously been conditioned to believe that a red light or a traffic stopping device of any kind is an automatic and mandatory, compulsory place to check your Instagram feed or whatever. And so when the light turns, no one goes. The order of operations is someone sort of slightly becomes aware that the light has changed to green, and then they decide, all right, well, let me finish this, scroll a little bit here, finish this text, and then I'll put my phone down, then I'll look up again and put my car in gear, and then I'll sort of put my foot on the gas, and then maybe we'll go eventually. And then if you're the 5th car in line, it should have taken you 10 seconds to get through the light, but instead you don't get through the light. Because no one's paying attention. No one cares. It's like the pedestrian crossing lanes in large shopping complexes. You know. Yeah, I hope you're not this person, but I'm sure you know or you have seen the ambling asshole. The individual that saunters their way diagonally across traffic lanes in the parking area of a large shopping complex. And come on, do better. Pedestrian crossing lanes and laws are really just the rudimentary structure to keep dummies and lazy, unaware, and otherwise self-involved, entitled assholes from being run over. Your existence on this planet is challenging enough in its raw state. Why not make an effort at some kind of cooperative coexistence that enhances your time here? Give it a shot. I bet you'll feel better about yourself. If traffic is coming, you as a pedestrian do in fact have the right of way. How about maybe a cooperative effort is I'll slow down or stop to give you the time to cross as long as you make an effort at crossing with some sort of alacrity. Move with a sense of purpose. Don't amble diagonally, shuffling your feet, looking down at your phone. Pick your nose up and move with a purpose. Mercy. All right, moving on. Things I screwed up last time. I guess this is going to have to be a permanent segment. This list wasn't too bad, not too egregious. I said basketball where I meant baseball. When we were talking about those sports. So my apologies for that if you were pointing and laughing when I said the wrong word. And at the end of the show, I actually messed up my own email address. I said auburnstuff.yahoo.com, which is clearly wrong. auburnstuff@yahoo.com. I also made reference in some screed to some 11-year period of time instead of 8 years, which is what I meant, and I have no idea from whence that came. And also, one thing that I overlooked, this wasn't a screw-up, but I was mentioning the other people the other shows and writers and podcasters that I read and listen to. And I should have mentioned the AU Wishbone podcast. Those guys, Dan and John, I think went back in, I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly, I started listening to them. I found them just after the 2013 season, maybe in the spring leading up to the 2014 season when I was getting fired up and sort of really figuring out what the heck was in the podcast universe. And so I've enjoyed those guys. They do a good job over there. And I enjoy the new feature they're doing with Jared and the Guess the Game. That's fun. That's a fun segment. Well done, all of y'all, for that. And by the way, incidentally, this last one, the 2016 LSU game, you knew it right away. Knew it immediately because I was there. And yes, it was the 6 fucking field goal game. The game which ended, I was sitting over there, where were we? Section 38 or 39, I forget, but we were near the LSU band, you know, over in that little corner over there in the north end zone, and surrounded by LSU people, which are fine. They're I've never been to Baton Rouge, but the LSU people I've encountered in Jordan-Hare have been lovely. But the game ended on that controversial. Well, it wasn't controversial, but I mean, you know, the play where they ran out of time, except for they threw a touchdown, and they threw that touchdown. Watch them march down the damn field. Play after play after play after play. 5, 6, 7, 8, 12-yard gain. And boom, throw a last-second touchdown where the receiver leaps and grabs and tiptoes, and I just deflated, blah. Because being there, we couldn't really see. You can't pay attention to the clock and the field and everything at the same time, and so it was just another gut-wrenching Malzahn loss with 6 fucking field goals. But they ran out of time, and we won, and it was a mitigation of negative emotions. And then we all went up to Toomer's Corner, and my daughter had brought a friend. So the two of them, I think she was like 12 or 13 at the time, and she and her friend were rolling the tree that was lit on fire about, apparently, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 minutes after we left, because by the time we got back to the room, turned on the TV, the news was fully involved in the tree fire. So yes, that was memorable. And I also said that no one is beating Gonzaga. Clearly that was wrong. Boy, you know, the way they marched through this, and you know, I put this, I'd say the same thing about Clemson and Ohio State and Notre Dame and other teams like this, is they don't play a challenging enough regular season schedule that when it comes down to it, because Baylor beat the shit out of them. They won by what, 20, 18, 20, 16, something like that. I didn't watch it. I forgot that it was on. I don't care when Auburn's not involved. So anyway, whiffed on that one. Congratulations, Baylor. And so that's that. All right, on to stuff. Let's get through this because it's already been, 28 and a half minutes, and we haven't talked about really anything related to Auburn. So first on my agenda is welcome to the family, Johnny Harris, our newly minted women's hoops coach. She comes with some excellent credentials and an interesting, in my point of view, an interesting recipe for success. So she was the 2018 WBCA National Assistant Coach of the Year. And she's been an assistant for various amounts of time at NC State, Arkansas, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, and Texas. She was part of an Elite Eight at Texas this season, back-to-back national championship games in 17 and 18, and regular season and tournament champs at Mississippi State. So my only take on this hire really is that Harris comes to her first head coaching job with a deep well of elite level experience at successful programs. And this should be an excellent recipe for success at Auburn, a program with a history of greatness and access to fertile recruiting ground. And Harris should be hungry for success at her first helm because she's been an assistant for so long. And she's been that number 2. She's been the assistant head coach. So, as opposed, I guess, to sort of a long-term head coach who's coming into a new spot that sometimes, that's a lot of times that's hit and miss. It's like, where's the fire, right? Well, that shouldn't be the problem. The fire to win, the fire to build, the fire to take what you've done and show everybody what the hell you can do with it, which is something that an established head coach might lack. And even coming off an historically bad season, this Auburn job is no long-term rebuilding project. It's not. The resources are there for Harris to basically create something like Bruce Pearl did following the ignominious Barbie catastrophe. It's there. So welcome aboard, Coach Harris. Good luck in War Eagle, and we'll be pulling for you. And in general Auburn athletics, I've basically, over the last week, I've just pulled because I've been busy with enjoying the Masters and preparing for the RBC Heritage, which is the tournament I'll be working here in our neck of the woods this coming week. So I thought I'd just pull some articles that caught my attention with various things. And so one of them, in the realm of general Auburn athletics, an article by Philip Marshall, which you should all be reading. Philip Marshall. The article, 2021 has been a challenging time for Auburn athletics. All right, whatever. I mean, I'm not whatevering the article. I'm whatevering the pearl clutching and hand wringing about this. Okay, the past year plus has been ridiculous. It's been upside down because of COVID. Because everybody's lost their home field advantage. Players are all over the place. And, everybody was scared at the beginning and all this stuff. So you just can't put too much stock in what the hell has gone on for the last 13 or 14 months. But this is what irritated me. Is that I've heard that there are those placing blame for this anomaly on Alan Green. Make no mistake. This makes you a booger-eating nitwit, a cretinous yahoo of galactic dimensions that only your fellow trailer park denizens can comprehend. If this is you, go be an Alabama fan where you can thrive. Just stay the fuck away from our trees. Alan Green has had a minimal footprint on this current head coaching circle. Honestly. Give it 5 to 10 years before you vomit any further opinions. And that is all I have to say about that. Over to football. Tom Green, in an article on AL.com, the cost of a coaching change in the cutthroat SEC. And there's a bunch of numbers, blah, 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 how many millions they paid out to get rid of old people and to bring on new people, blah, blah, blah. And the bottom line is that the cost of not making a coaching change can be far more devastating to a program vying to maintain its place as an historic top 15 all-time program than doing what is absolutely required to compete and excel. You don't make the change, you die. You become ossified. You freeze. You become satisfied with the status quo and afraid of anything new. And we were really close to taking that step. And throwing back to the last thing I talked about with Alan Green, thank God we had somebody with some balls that wasn't afraid to take that step. And the paragraph that meant most to me in this article about the cost of a coaching change was down near the bottom. And if you read it, you might have slid on by it, but this really jumped out at me because of what we've been screaming about for the last who knows how long. And it was about the pay of the new OL and DL coaches. At a combined $2.8 million through the 2022 season, Will Friend and Nick Eason are the two highest paid non-coordinators on this new staff. Now, that tells me very simply that the appropriate priority is being assigned to the place on the field where football games will always be won and lost. Period. Moving on to an article by Mark Murphy on 24/7 about Will Friend's take on the state of the O-line at this juncture. Okay, in brief, it was a good article filled with information and quotes, but in brief, my takeaway is that 7 guys who started full or part-time return for the new staff, and that's at least not nothing. On the other side, quotes like looking for character, long way to go, and get better with time are cause for ongoing concern for a group of guys, 7 of whom were full or part-time starters. My God, how much time do you need to get better? Here's what O-line comes down to in my quasi-informed opinion. 5 mean motherfuckers with a strong desire to whip the shit out of the guys across from them about 80 times in 60 minutes. If you're not up to that, go away. This unit also needs to operate like a SEAL team or a Marine Infantry fire team. And there's a mantra in tactical combat operations: shoot, move, communicate. Any successful unit in any operational environment will adhere to this concept. Whatever your non-combat function, the concept remains the same, with whatever appropriate substitution for shoot applies to your mission. For a football offensive line, I suppose it would be hit, move, communicate, or something like that. O-line has to function effectively as a unit with a clear mission. There's that thing again, clear mission. Or, it looks like ours has for the past few years. And that is that. On to an article written by Brian Stultz from the Auburn Wire section of USA Today. Asks, will Bo Nix improve under new staff? Yes. Without question. It will be startling. It will be a grotesque indictment of his previous coach. That is all. Back to Tom Green, a Brad Bedell quote I pulled regarding his coaching philosophy for the tight end position. Pay attention. Quote, "It's a deep room," Bedell said. "You really look at the room and it's different body types and things like that, but it's conceptual learning. So, I don't want to get pigeonholed into this certain player does this, and this certain player only does this, and this. Then all of a sudden you look at it and we give some things away. I don't want to do that." End quote. Huh. How about that shit? Seems like he doesn't want the opponent to guess or to know what's coming based on what personnel is on the field. Interesting. Ruminate over that for a little bit. And in other news, J.J. Pegues moves to defensive tackle. Go figure. A 6'3", 308-pound athletic beast playing a key leverage position instead of being relegated to the role of circus freak sideshow. I say again, how about that shit? And wrapping up football, scrimmage 2 of the spring was supposed to be in Jordan-Hare with students and staff invited, but the weather sucked, so they ran their drills in front of no one at the practice facility. Anything interesting? No. They did stuff, worked on stuff, talked about stuff, and took a shower. That's about all. All right, I'm going to wrap this up today so we can all go watch golf, which starts in about 8 minutes according to my clock, so I really need to go. In the Here's the Thing segment, we all know Auburn's, coincidental penchant for playing teams in every sport at their highest level. Lots of games versus the eventual national champion and that kind of thing. So I dug back a little bit. I apologies to whoever the hell got me thinking about this out there in the Auburn newscape, but got me thinking. So I dug back a little bit, starting with the most recent time: Auburn football and basketball versus national champions and tangential relations. So 2020-21, basketball played Baylor on the road and Gonzaga at a neutral site. It's amazing, isn't it? Amazing. And football, of course, this past year played Tuscaloosa College of Assholery on the road. 2019-20, basketball, well, we'll never know because that team was on a roll, building to something, and we don't know who would have made it, but odds are it would have been they ended up, if not playing the national champion or one of the two teams in the game, probably a Final Four Elite Eight team. And of course, football in 2019 should have beaten LSU on the road, which of course would have probably could have knocked them out of the championship game. I don't know though. They went on to beat shit out of everybody else. But anyway, so 2018-19 basketball. Do we really need to discuss this? Instead of being the national champion, we had a game stolen, had a victory stolen from us, a Final Four victory stolen from us by terrible officiating and given to the eventual national champion. And football, of course, got blowed out by natty runner-up Mullet A. 2017-18 basketball played 10 tournament games, or 10 tournament teams, 10 NCAA tournament teams, and 2 Sweet 16 teams. And football, this was epic. That 17 season, yeah. Football played both national champions, UCF and the other one. They played 3 of the 4 semifinal teams and played one of those teams twice. And as a bonus, they played the 4th playoff team in the Sugar Bowl the season before, but in the same calendar year. They played all 4 playoff teams in a calendar year. I don't know that you'll ever see that again. And this is why, tangentially, I have an issue with the expanding playoff talk as it currently exists. If you do this, I have my own thing about how a college football national championship process should go, and maybe we'll talk about that in the coming months between now and football season when there's nothing to talk about. But to me, if you're going to do it this way and even expand this system, I'm sorry, but you have to get rid. You have to go to a different, balanced pod schedule, and you have to get rid of the conference championship game. Because the odds of an SEC team, the odds of Auburn playing Georgia or Alabama 3 times, well, they wouldn't do that against Alabama. The odds of Auburn playing Georgia 3 times on the way to a national championship are a lot higher than you might think. Auburn wins the West, Georgia wins the East. They play the regular season game. Then they play in the conference championship game. Then they match up again in the damn playoff, which also, as we've seen, Alabama has made the playoff without beating Auburn and without winning the West or even going to the SEC championship game. So Auburn could, more possibly than you might think, end up in one goddamn season playing Alabama twice and Georgia 3 times. Fuck you. No, no, no. Because no one else is going to do that. Ridiculous. All right. I'll stop being a crybaby about that. Where was I? 2016-17 basketball played 3 Elite 8 teams and 1 Final 4 team. Football, of course, played both national championship game teams. 2015-16, that was pre-basketball kind of coming on the scene. So football, of course, Red Elephants. What else? 2014, not much here other than football played one of the 4 playoff teams. And then, of course, in 2013, should have been a national champion pre-playoff. So you got to figure that, you know, Alabama, Georgia probably would have been a playoff. But they played the national champion, of course. So it all adds up to basketball really exceeding expectations along the way, culminating in an elite level of winning, including a Final Four, which should have been at least an appearance in the national championship game. There should be some sort of monument, like war monuments. There should be some sort of monument somewhere on a little side corner of the campus somewhere to the tragedy of that. But football, of those 13 games mentioned in the previous little diatribe against the best of the best, they were 2-11 in that stretch, with the 2 victories coming in the same year, 2017, which amounted to nothing because they couldn't beat Athens Academy a second time. So there you go. And with that, I bid you all good Masters Sunday. Now go watch golf. I know that you're not going to get this until after the Masters anyway, but you know, we record in real time, blah, blah, blah. That is just how we roll. So when the final putt drops and the green jacket is shrugged on to the shoulders of whomever, boy, Hideki looked good yesterday, didn't he? Holy cow, what a close. Lots of dudes in play, though. Anyway, after that moment, when you hit the power button on the remote, put your head on the pillow. Then when you rise to the new dawn, put your feet on the floor with determination to be a little bit better than you were yesterday. Put your phone down in the car. Move with a sense of purpose. Be as you wish to seem. How you do anything is how you do everything. Auburn Stuff can be found at auburnstuff.podbean.com, on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and lots of other places in the podcast universe. Also on YouTube, I swear, coming soon. Go ahead and download the Podbean app where you can find everything you listen to, plus Auburn Stuff. Subscribe, rate, review, get your auto downloads. If you want to drop me a line, do it at auburnstuff@yahoo.com. Every now and then I'll post some random crap on Instagram or Twitter every now and then. And always remember to actively support what you like. As I said, subscribe, rate, review. Give something to the things that you like so that they don't go away. Give and share. And as always, be mindful, be fit, be authentic. Sometimes it's all you have, but most of the time, it is all you'll ever need. Until next time, War Eagle, everyone, and see you at A-Day.